Well, good morning, guys, and welcome to the second episode of Coffee with Chris on this channel. Now, this is an idea, if you didn't see the first one, Coffee with Chris is an idea I had to where we can have a little bit of Q&A once a week in addition to our normal videos. And that Q&A would be just talking about anything from woodworking to family to faith to life in general. And just where we can create an ongoing dialogue and some communication between you, the viewers, and myself, the creator. And so this is episode 2 of that. Now, I've had a busy week, and we're getting this video out a day late. I've spent the last 5 days up at the farm, and if you've seen any of the previous videos, I've talked about the farm a few times on the channel. But I've spent the last 5 days up at the farm helping build a new big front porch and some ramps at Grandma's house. Grandma is 96 years old, and while she is still sharp as a tack and witty as ever, of course, being 96, mobility is slowing down a little bit. So we have spent the past week, myself and my brother-in-law, working on a big front porch for her house at the farm and some ramps so that we can get her in and out of the house, and so that she can enjoy the land that she spent her entire life on. And so it's been a blessing to serve someone that means so much to the family. We're still not done with it, but I did have to come home for the weekend and get some things done. And so we've got a little bit more work to do on it, but that's why we're coming out a day late. So it's happy Saturday or Sunday morning instead of Saturday morning for this episode. But let's get into it, guys. So we posed a topic or a question last week, and we were discussing about the way that some content has changed somewhat, in some people's opinions, with woodworking, and how the content from some of the big creators that have been out for quite a while, that have a lot of subscribers, how some of that has seemed to change and gone a little more towards tool reviews and tips and tricks and things like that. And from a creator standpoint, a couple of thoughts before I get into a few of these comments that I've gotten this week on it. One thing you'll hear, even in a few of these comments, and you'll hear some people say on videos that have been recently put out, is that type of content is faster to make, it's easier to do, it's less expensive to do for sure, and it's also very viewable. Those are videos that get a lot more views, it seems like, than traditional build style videos. And again, they're cheaper and easier to film. So it seems to be a trend that we've been going towards the last year or so in the woodworking space of YouTube. And so it's been a thing that we've seen some videos come out from some of the more established creators talking about that very thing. So let's get into our comments this week, though. And I've got 4 that give us 4 different kind of perspectives. And it actually worked out really well because each of these commenters that have a little bit different point of view from their standpoint. So the first one I want to get into is from our friends at Alder and Elm Woodworking. They do have a channel, a smaller channel on YouTube as well, and haven't been going at it too long, I don't believe. But they say, or he says, interesting topic, Chris. I think it's important to get a revenue stream off of YouTube and other platforms so a business is not dependent on the whims of the platform. However, the creator needs to strike a balance so each video doesn't sound like an infomercial for courses or plans. I enjoy build videos for inspiration, but I know the time and money needed to produce a video is a huge consideration and may not be sustainable for weekly content. I approach woodworking as a hobby, so my goals are different. I've been posting shorts on my channel with no narration and seem to get decent views considering the size of my channel. I look forward to how this conversation evolves. So this is a viewpoint that you get. And I've gotten some comments on a few of my videos just expressing this from a kind of a hobbyist standpoint is, you know, some people do YouTube, and we'll see on these later comments, some people do YouTube as a more business structure. It's for them to make money and to help produce some income. And of course, their approach is going to be different than someone like our friend here at Alder and Elm Woodworking, where they're viewing it from a hobbyist standpoint, and they're just doing something they enjoy and wanting to put it out there possibly for people to see. You never know where that goes or turns into, but for now, this is where he's at. What I did like, though, is he talks about striking a balance on the channel, and that's something that we talked about last week in the first video, and that I've talked about on previous videos this year, is that I feel like if we can create a balance with the videos, we can have some videos that are build videos, some videos that are informational, some that are more business related. Maybe we can, reach everyone and give a little bit of variety where everybody can enjoy the channel and get something that they want. and I don't, that's something that I feel like a lot of the bigger channels do. I watch a lot of woodworking YouTube, and I certainly have creators that I follow more than others, as we all do. There's a lot of us on the platform, but I do feel like trying to vary that up and create a balance is the key. And he also points out that time and money can be a factor, and it certainly can be. And we'll see that theme through a few of these comments. And you see that theme when you watch some of these videos that have been put out recently from the creators, is it takes money to buy the wood, buy the products, buy the equipment, especially up front, and produce these videos. So there's got to be some give to that, because it's not sustainable just to spend a lot of money on wood, build something every week, create the videos without having any way to, purchase that wood or purchase those products. So thank you, Alder and Elm Woodworking, for your comment, and we appreciate you watching for sure. The second one I want to talk about is from M. Blackford 100. Now, he states that he's more of a beginning woodworker, and so we get the point of view from that. And he says, I think it's a great decision to ask your viewers what they like and want. I thought so too, thanks. In my mind, it is the best way to deliver a well-received product. For my part, I'm just getting into the hobby of woodworking and enjoy watching build tutorials. I fully understand the reasoning behind the tool reviews. It is a business after all, but some channels end up being infomercials with the occasional project build. Some of them I watch as I'm still buying tools to get started, but most I do not. One thing tool related I do enjoy watching is how to use videos or how-to videos. Like, for example, how to properly use a router table. So this is a great point of view from a perspective of how a lot of us, and why a lot of us started watching YouTube. Certainly why I started watching woodworking videos on YouTube. You want to get into the hobby, and it's like anything else. You're not really sure what you're doing or how you want to get started, and it's a big variety, and you're able to watch these guys that, have a lot more skill and talent in doing this longer than we have. And this really applies to anything on YouTube. It doesn't have to be just the woodworking niche. For example, this past week while I was up working on the project for Grandma's house, my 19-year-old son, who lives in that same area, in that same town, goes to college up there, has been having an issue with his wheel bearing on his cars to the point where I wouldn't even let him drive it anymore once I heard it when I got up there this weekend. And he was able to check out some YouTube channels and some tutorials on changing out the wheel bearing. We got the part ordered and got it in a few days, and he was able to get it changed out and fixed while I was up there if I needed to help him. So YouTube, the purpose of some of these tool reviews, yes. Are they quick and easier to make? Yes. If you do them for certain brands and certain products, do you make some income off of it? Absolutely. But the great benefit to the viewer is exactly what this last gentleman just said. It's education. You can learn a lot of things. You can find out, do I really need to spend this high dollar amount on this brand? Or does this brand over here accomplish what I need for this time and this purpose in my woodworking journey? So there is a benefit to these woodworking video or these tool review videos, and certainly to the how-to videos. It's a great way for us to learn and grow and develop our skills and find out if it's the hobby for us, or find out if it's not the hobby for you, and you can find something else you enjoy doing on the side. Thanks for the comment. The next one I wanted to get to is from a little more of an established channel. It's got more subscribers than this channel does. I think he's been doing it a little bit longer. He's also a fellow Christian theme type channel. So I enjoyed getting this comment. And this is from our friends at Cross Grain Woodworks. And he says, this isn't a creative shift, it's an algorithmic one. Growth pushes you towards what's fast, repeatable, and proven, whether you meant to go there or not. And eventually, every idea gets filtered through one question: will this perform? And that's when it flips. It says you're not building or sharing anymore, you're producing for the feed. And he says, Chris, you know the principle: a man can't serve two masters. Those of you that know the scripture in the Bible that talks about you can't serve two masters, you can't serve God and money, you can't serve God and greed, and those sort of things. So he's using that in reference here. He says you can't serve two masters. At some point, you have to choose between serving the craft of building, the craft of woodworking, or serving the algorithm. Those of us still chasing meaningful long-form builds feel that tension. The frustration isn't with creators, it's with the system, it's with what the system rewards. Because over time, the pressure to monetize what we love starts flattening into content that's easy to make, easy to repeat, and honestly, hard to care about. The risk isn't losing build videos, it's losing the reason behind them. And for the woodworking greats on YouTube, it's literally breaking their hearts. Man, that's got a lot in it right there. And again, this is from a perspective of someone that's been on YouTube a little bit longer. So he's probably gone through these, these thoughts or these changes. He's probably had this conversation with himself on, hey, what direction do I need to go in? Do I continue doing what I personally enjoy doing more, which is the build videos, teaching, educating on the builds, during the builds, or what the algorithm, as he said, what the algorithm rewards and what the platform rewards, which is some of these other types of videos that traditional woodworkers and the guys that like those videos are not real crazy about. So what's really the answer, though? This would be the question I have responding to that comment, because again, it's something that I haven't really got to that point yet. I don't have a sponsorship yet, or haven't had anybody reach out for that. I don't have a particular brand that I've got to give an advertisement to or a plug to every video. If that time comes or those opportunities come, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But maybe he's ran into that. I'm not sure. But so my question on that would be, what is the answer for the creator? Is it producing more videos? Is it creating more content to where you can hit all of those, hot buttons and all those subjects matter that people like and enjoy, so you can feed the algorithm and feed the viewer? Is that the answer? It might just be. Again, that's more work, more time, and more money, though. So maybe that's not the right thing. Cross Grain Woodworks, thank you for that comment. And obviously, you've got some experience dealing with this, and I appreciate you watching and helping support this channel as well. And I'll certainly check out more of your videos. All right, the last one we got is from the standpoint of I wrote down, I made a note of a woodworking fan. Somebody does enjoy the build videos and watches it for the craft itself. And this is from Buckeye Prepper 7101. Thank you for the comment and for watching. And he says, unfortunately, corporate sponsorships and dramatic clickbait titles for views pay well, and no one is doing this with the intention of earning, or without the intention of earning at least some kind of income. That being said, I'm a beginner woodworker, and I will sub and watch a channel with 100 subs that doing builds that I can learn from 100% of the time over a channel with 500K subs who's gone the way of corporate sponsorships. Now, putting myself on the other side of this camera as a fan of woodworking and a fan of woodworking channels, and as a fan of a lot of creators, certainly some of the real common ones that we all watch and know, I understand this standpoint, this viewpoint. My question would be, can we really blame those creators, though? Can we blame the guys that are building something and then have a 30-second to a minute plug-in for a particular brand or particular product? Can we blame them for doing that when they're getting paid, they're getting income coming in? The question I have is, I think it makes a difference if it's a product that is personally used. If it's a tool that's being used in the shop that they run or in the shop while they're building these videos that they're making. To me, that I think that's where the line is. And I hope and pray to myself that when the time comes, if I'm lucky enough to be able to get a sponsorship, or that someone wants to send me some tools to use in exchange for using them on the channel, that I use that as a filter, and that I only will support that product if it's something that I personally use and I personally believe in. I'd like to say that's where that will go when that time comes. Um, the one the one caveat I do have to that is I do see a lot of these channels are plugging and are being sponsored by non-woodworking products. Um, some of them I've seen are life insurance or cybersecurity. Now, I'm not saying they don't use those on their computers to help protect their personal assets or their videos or anything like that, or they don't use a life insurance as their insurance for their family, for example. But that doesn't pertain to woodworking. It doesn't pertain to their channel necessarily. So I think that's kind of a question for a bigger discussion, is where is the line for those things? And again, I don't personally have any experience with that yet because we haven't got to that point in the history of this channel. So just food for thought. All four of these comments were fantastic, and I appreciate you guys sending them in, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to comment on them. And I think it really lends to further discussion, but for the sake of time, we're going to kind of nip it in the bud right there. But if you've been watching YouTube woodworking channels and you watch it frequently, you've probably seen some of these same videos that I have. And you've seen some of our big creators and some of the guys that we all watch have made videos. Before I did last week's Coffee for Chris episode, I'd seen that I told you that I saw 2 or 3 videos on this very topic and this very subject. This past week, in the evenings when I was done working on the porch and the ramps, just scrolling through YouTube at my son's house where he lives, I came across 2 or 3 more of videos from established woodworkers on this very thing. So this is a hot button that is growing in our niche for YouTube. And so it's something that I think is going to be a continuing conversation, and that we're going to see more of the creators addressing on their channels. And I think you're going to have to make a decision as a viewer. Watch what you enjoy watching. If it's a video you don't watch it, because the algorithm is going to feed you more of what you're watching. I think there's a choice you've got to make, and that's okay. That's why there's a lot of variety on the platform. For next week's video, let's lead into something similar but different. Let's get off the YouTube platform conversation for a minute, and let's talk about woodworking as a hobby and woodworking as a business. If you're a hobby woodworker, like a few of our commenters just said, what is the point to where if you decide to become a business with it and you want to try to sell things, make some income, make some money, either as a side hustle, as a full part-time gig, or like I'm doing, trying to work into becoming a full-time woodworker and have that be an actual income, along with this channel, of course. But what's the line between the hobby and the business? Can we enjoy both? I had a comment on a video I did several months ago about tips for growing a woodworking business on a budget. And I did have a comment that kind of stuck with me the last many months. And the gentleman said that it's very difficult to do both. You can't have the hobby and enjoy the hobby of woodworking if you're always worried about having to create to make money. And if your hobby is driven by the dollar, it takes away from the love and joy of the hobby itself. And so that's my question for this week. Do we have to lose our love for the craft of woodworking just because we are looking at shifting into selling some things? What if we're fortunate enough that that's the same thing? What if we love making rocking chairs, for example, and that's what we decide to sell? We sell rocking chairs at vendor shows or craft fairs or farmers markets. Does that make a difference? Does it make a difference can we not build some things for the craft that we love, jewelry boxes and small things like that, and then also make things that we sell in our areas? Because obviously those could be different as well. Maybe birdhouses don't sell, but we love making them as gifts, but we need to make cutting boards or whatever it is for our local shows. So let me leave you with this. This is something you've heard on the channel before, and I have on the description for the channel. We are created for a purpose. I'm a Christian, you know that if you watch the channel. I believe we are created by God for a purpose. And so, since we are created for a purpose, I believe we should go out and create with purpose. So, what's your purpose? What's your purpose for woodworking? Is it for a hobby? Is it for love? Is it for the enjoyment of the craft? Is it to create income for your family? Did you make a change over, and has your mindset changed on that in some time? Let's talk about that on next week's episode of Coffee with Chris. Take care and have a blessed weekend.